We have so far studied the first 6 mantras of the Namaka Prashna. So today we will look at the 7th and the 8th mantra. So in the first 6 mantras, we were actually paying tribute and then offering our prostrations and namaskara to Lord Rudra, who is one and the only one. There is only one Rudra, no two. But then suddenly the scripture changes in the next mantra, in the 7th mantra. Asauvyastamro aruna uta babrus sumangalaha ye chemagam rudra avito dikshushritaha sahasrasho vaishakam heda imahe. So when there is no swara, it will sound strange. Asauvyastamro aruna uta babrus sumangala ye chemagam rudra avito dikshushrita sahasrasho vaishakam heda imahe. So, Asau, this Rudra, whom we have been worshipping in all the earlier 6 mantras, this one Rudra without a second. So the authority for this is other parts of the Veda, which says Eka eva Rudraha nadvitiyayatastha. Eka eva, there is only one Rudra, nadvitiya, no second. Then Eka eva Rudraha avatasthe nadvitiyaha. There is only one Rudra, no two. So if that is so, who is this one? What do you mean by this one Rudra? Suppose we say there is only one Rudra and no two. That means we see a lot of a variety and differences in the creation. How to reconcile the variety and the number of things that are there in the universe with this concept of one and there is no two. So suppose we say that there is Rudra, the deity, and I am here, the devotee. So what does it mean? It means there is two. There is Rudra and me. So but that is not sustainable because the scripture has said Ekavo Rudraha nadvitiyayatastha. So that has got to be resolved. How can there be more than one? So when we are saying there is only one Rudra, we are referring to the Atman, which is the very subject. So as far as the subject, the Atman, Brahman, absolute reality is concerned, there is only one. And this one, which is the subject is the one who perceives the object. Therefore, whenever we say there is one and I am there the two, then what happens? I, the subject, is objectifying the second. So if Rudra is only one and there is no two, we have to infer that the Rudra and the Atman are the one and the same. But the Atman and the Brahman, as omnipresent, as the subtle, as the substrate of the entire creation, is not perceptible to our senses. Then, what are we perceiving in the creation as the multiplicity? So that has got to be resolved by this Veda mantra. So what it is drawing upon is from the other meditations of the Rishis. Look at this, how it happens. In the Mundaka Upanishad, we will be studying Agniryathayiko. There is only one Agni. Rupam Rupam Babhuva. He enters into every entity and makes it into the variety of forms. There is only one Mukhya Prana, Vayu. Vayuryathayiko Bhuvanam Pravishtaha. That one single Mukhya Prana Vayu Mukhya prana means the pradhana prana, there is only one universal one. That enters the Mukhya prana Vayu, yatha eko bhuvanam pravishtaha, being the one enters the phenomenal world. Having entered, rupam rupam pratirupo bhakuva. The identification of the individuality of the variety of things is caused by this one Mukhya prana energizing as the prana or the life force of each and every living being. But there is only one Ekas tatha sarvabhutantaratma. There is only one Rudra who is the inner substrate of everything, but it manifests as Rupam Rupam Pratirupo Bhava. So this is also a little difficult to understand. Therefore, the scripture takes up a direct example which everybody can see. Asau, this Rudraha, who? Yaha Tamraha, who can be seen as the reddish colored sun. Yes, Tamraha. Arunaha, who can be seen as the redness of the sun who has been in the horizon for a little while. Or Uda and Babruhu. Babruhu means golden colored, or the golden colored sun. So how many suns are there? There's only one sun. But at one point of time, he looks like the light red or reddish color, Tamra. And another time, he looks at it as Aruna. And the third time, he shows himself as Babruhu. But there is only one. So what is the important thing we have to understand here? Even though each and every one of us have different forms, the essential energy which is within us, just like the sun is seen with different colors and different sizes at different times of the day, but there is only one sun, really there are no many rupas. But the rupas are what we call as a transactional truth or a vyavaharika satyam. So the vyavaharika satya of the difference remains. Then, what is the difference between every rupa that has manifested and the different rupas manifested by Rudra? It is very auspicious, therefore Sumangalaha. So the word Sumangalaha is used very deliberately to say that what is the difference between the manifestation of Rudra as an auspicious entity and as an inauspicious entity. In an inauspicious entity, he is not perceivable, though he is there. This is a preamble that this Rishi is building up for later on saying he is there in a cheating person, vanchate, a person who cheats you again and again, parivanchate, a person who steals things from you, taskarayacha. So a number of those things are also manifestations of Shiva. But this Saumangalyam, or the auspiciousness, is obscured by the opacity of Raga Dvesha. For that he is not responsible. So that is what he is going to, the Rishi is going to talk about us. Now this various objects that are energized by this Atman Rudra, where can you see, where can you find him? Again, we want to see this Lord, isn't it? Ye Rudraha Abhito Dikshu Shritaha. Those manifestations of Rudra on all of our sides, in every direction you turn, Dikshu Shritaha are there. So wherever you turn and whatever you see, it is none other than Rudra himself. Only thing is, he is presenting himself through different forms. That is all. So this is how the sage reconciles the concept of one and the many. It apparently looks as though there is many, but there is only one. next class, not next week, but the following week, I will give you a beautiful episode from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, where there is a conversation between Yajnavalkya and one of the sages, where he says how many gods are there. We will look at that as a commentary on this mantra. So how many Rudras are there? Sahasrashaha. Sahasrashaha means thousands. There is a Shastra Vakya which says Asankhyatas Sahasrani. Whenever you use in the Veda Shata or Sahasra, it means it is infinite. Asankhyatas Sahasrani. Now you see, when we look at the variety of entities in the world, which are none other than Rudra, if we look at it, if we look at them with the colored glasses of Kama Krodha, that is desire and anger, then what happens? All of them give us hardship. All of them will give us difficulty. We'll have to struggle and fight with each and every one of them. Therefore, here the sage is saying, Tesham Hedaha Avahimahe. Tesham, of all those number of entities whom I am relating with Ragadvesha, their anger, Hedaha means anger, Sanskrit word Hedaha, anger. Their anger we pacify. Avahimahe means pacify. How do we pacify? Hundreds of different varieties. We pacify by looking at everybody with an auspicious eye. All we have to do is we have to change the way in which we look and relate to the objects, and they reciprocate. And therefore, this one Rudra who is angry at us because of the various sins that we have committed, and then he has to actually punish us, isn't it? How does he punish us? In the first of the mantras we say, you have got your arrow and the bow all ready to shoot me, you lower your arm, lower your bow and arrow. That's what we did. He lowers his bow and arm, but that doesn't mean that he will not continue to hurt us if we deserve it. So how does he do that? Through the innumerable objects and entities that are there in the creation, through them he will come and punish us. So how we are punished for our papa karmas is not by an adrishta, that is unseen way, but it is seen and experienced directly. It can be your boss, it can be your neighbor, it can be your children, it can be any one of those. All of them are the medium that Rudra uses to punish us. Therefore, Teshagam Sahasrashaha Hedaha Avahimahe. So what we do is, we offer Namaskara. So one Namaskara, sincerely done, will completely eliminate. This is why in the Vedic culture, the first greeting of one person with another person is by offering Namaskara. As soon as you say Namaskara, all the offense that could be there in the other person is completely pacified. Authority, this mantra. So just as one single act of papa, sometimes what is our experience? One single act of negativity will create a chain reaction of suffering. Isn't it? Suppose I commit a misdemeanor, then that misdemeanor, it will first of all, it is being caught by the police, then incarceration, then you face a fine, then you face, the insult and the ignominy in the society. So only one single act of papa we can reap the karmapala in a variety of things. So similarly, then can we ask a question saying, can one act of punya also start a chain reaction of a series of sukha? The answer here comes yes. By one single act of punya karya, which is prostrating before it, it's not a very expensive punya karya. By just prostrating before the Lord, a whole chain reaction of sukha is set in motion. There is so much hidden in this Veda mantra. So how can this happen all the time? That is there any place where we can hide from this Lord Rudra and then say, well, I did something when you are not looking? Can I say that? For that, the scripture says no, because he is Vishwa Bhutani. He is there in every single entity, animate and inanimate, so he becomes a Sakshi. So anything that is a witness, we also call it as Atman. And therefore, which is the real witness of all our attitudes? It is the Atma Sakshi only. That Atma Sakshi is none other than Rudra, is the purport of this particular mantra. Now, who knows this? Is it only the scholar? Is it only the Rishi who is sitting in meditation, studying these mantras? No. For that the answer comes from the scripture itself. No, everybody knows this. Look at the next mantra. Utainam gopa adrishan udaharyaha utainam vishwa bhutani sadrishto mridayatinaha. So what does that mean? This Surya, just as the sun and his grace, he is known by everybody. Gopaha. Gopaha means the cowherds, those who have never gone to school. Udaharyaha, the household ladies of the Vedic times, where all they did in the morning was go to the river, they take a bath and then they carry water. And then when the water is run out in the house, they go back and carry the water. Udaharyaha means the women who carry water. That means menial laborers. Menial laborers, cowherds, and Vishwa Bhutani, all the living beings in the entire creation, birds, animals, everyone knows this Rudra. Why? How do they know? And how do they worship? For that the answer comes, just because we get up in the morning, the very act of being woken up in the morning by the rising sun is an act of namaskara that we do. Just by getting up from the bed. If you walk out of your main door and look into the open yard, you are doing namaskara. The fact that you are going to work, you are earning, you are living your life, right, is all prostration only. Only thing is, we do not know and we do not do that with that attitude. Once that attitude comes, cross-reference Gita, Pashyan, Shrunvan, Jigran, Pralapan, when you speak, when you see, when you look, when you act, when you eat, if every one of that is done with Ishvaranusandhana, then you don't need to do any formal ritualistic worship. When you reach that state, until you reach that state, we do need ritualistic worship, otherwise we will never get focused. So therefore, here he says, the Rishi is saying that Asau Yaha Avasarpati. Avasarpati means one who is traveling this huge heavens. Yaha, he, Asau, this Rudra, who is Avasarpati, as Surya, as Aditya, as the sun, is traveling from the eastern horizon to the western horizon. He gives a whole 12 hours opportunity for us to contemplate on this glory of Rudra. Who can say I have no time? Whole 12 hours he has given. And then, how does he present himself? Nilagrivaha. Nilagrivaha has two meanings. One is the blue-throated. So there is the famous story of how Shiva got his blue throat. Another is, if you look at the sun, when there are clouds, rain-bearing clouds, that's why for rain-bearing clouds, we have a Sanskrit term which says Nila Megha also. So the rain-bearing clouds look like a garland, look like the neck of Lord Surya. So that poetic imagination we should have. This Nilagrivaha is seen Uta Enam. Enam is Rudra, Gopaha Adrasan. The cowherds have seen. And Vishwabhutani, all the living beings in the universe, Adrasan, have seen. And how have they seen? They have seen him in all the colors, especially Vilohitaha. Vilohitaha means crimson in color. So whenever you see the crimson color of Surya, the meditation here is that he is warning us. Here you have got all the kama, krodha, anger, so on and so forth, all the negativities in you. Whenever a person is very angry, we metaphorically say his face turned crimson. So Surya's face, when you look at Surya in the crimson color, it is a kind of a warning, an opportunity for introspection. So that is why this, very specially of all the colors, the sage uses the crimson color as Vilohita. So what is the inner dhvani? Dhvani means what is it we glean from this? This Rudra in the first 6 mantras is seen as the indweller, the Antaryami. And now we are seeing him as in the entire cosmos also. So there is a corresponding mantra which is addressed to Narayana to make a point that Shiva, Krishna, Rama, Narayana and Vishnu, they are all not different. Antarbahishcha tat sarvam vyapya narayana sthitaha. Antaha bahishcha, inside and outside, tat sarvam, all that is, vyapya, having encompassed, narayana sthitaha. So how do we see this entity in the worship of the sun, and through the sun Narayana, through the sun Rudra? There is a beautiful prayer, Dhyaya Sada Savitrubandala Madhyavarti. Dhyaya, we have got to contemplate on Sada, all the time. Savitrumandala Madhyavarti, who is in the orb of the sun. Narayanaha Sarasijasana Sannivishtaha, that Narayana who is sitting in the lotus flower. How is he? Keyuravan, he has got ear straps. Keyuravan. Keyura is the armband. Makara Kundalavan, kundalas which look like the crocodile. Makara Kundalavan. And Kiriti, he has got a Kirita. Hari, and he has got a necklace. Dhrita Shankha Chakra. So if you want to look at a pictorial representation, you will see that on our wall there. This, here, on this wall. Which is Lord Narayana in the Savitra Mandala. Hiranyavapuhu. Hari Hiranyavapuhu. Yes, Dhrita Shankha Chakra. So this is the reason why when we do the Rudrabhisheka or the Rudra Homa, we always say Adityatmaka Rudrasya Idam Namama. Adityatmaka Rudrasya. That means the Rudra who is all the time perceived by us in the sun. And such is Rudra Naha Mridayati. Mrida means to give happiness. Naha Mridayati. He gives us happiness. That is why one of the epithets of Shiva is Mrida. Mrida means one who gives happiness. More in the next class. So we will see in the next class as to how many gods are there and what is the significance of the various gods. One of the very interesting thing is Yajnavalkya also says, oh, there are 3 million gods. What? Come again? Then Yajnavalkya says, well, it is 330 gods. What? And he says, well, there are 12. There are 6. He goes on pulling numbers from his head, and then when the questioner was getting irritated, well, there is only one and a half gods. What is this 1.5 gods? So we'll look at that very interesting conversation of the Brihadaranyaka.